Hello, friends. Wish you a very happy Independence Day. Welcome once again to a new episode of the Indian Military Anecdotes brought to you by Viva Life Skills trainers and consultants. Today, we have with us Army Education Corps officer, Colonel Umesh Gogate. Yes, my surname sake. Colonel Umesh Gogate has put in about 22 years of service in the Indian Army. He has had opportunity to see various kind of operations. Being an education officer, he had the privilege of getting posted to some very prestigious army institutions, namely the National Defense Academy in Pune, the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun, the Electrical and Mechanical Engineers School in Baroda, and the Army Education Corps College and Training Center in Pachmadi. He has been an adventurist. He's done plenty of hot balloon flying. So someday we'll ask him about that story in a different episode. So today he's got something very interesting to narrate to us. So let's welcome him. Welcome, Colonel Umesh. Welcome to the show. It's a great pleasure having you on the show, and we look forward to some interesting anecdote coming from you. So kindly go ahead.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to talk to Colonel Gogate. And as he said, is my namesake, surnamesake. It's the pleasure doubles. Happy Independence Day to all the viewers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today, I would like to speak on a topic whose title I could say that supernatural power.
I see.
So when the logic fails to explain something that actually happened,
right,
it is indicative that some supernatural thing has occurred.
Right.
Many Indian Army personnel during their service life have experienced in some form or other some supernatural things.
Right.
The point comes that what can be a supernatural thing? A force that is beyond the law of nature, or a power that is different than normal. So we during our service time are very close to nature, and nature is also a creation of a God. So we are very close to the God's creation.
True.
I request you to play a video showing avalanche.
Right.
So, as you have seen in the video, huge mass of 1 kilometer long and 800 meters wide started sliding down.
Right.
And unfortunately, our soldiers belonging to Madras Regiment got trapped in this particular huge mass.
I see.
And the rescue operation started after the avalanche settled down. And Indian Army men, they started doing whatever they could do. Drill with the drilling machine and the saw. This was closer to Siachen, so you can imagine there is no power, and all was diesel-operated machines.
Right.
And relentlessly, with working hope against hope, they kept on digging for 6 days. And they started seeing some kind of human bodies. And the sixth body, when they were trying to take out from that huge mass of ice, they saw that there is some life in this. Just imagine that less than minus 40 degrees, this particular ice is described as blue ice. There are various categories of ice. So blue ice is the hardest one to survive in that.
Right.
And for 6 days, Lance Naik Hanumantappa, was dug deep in almost 25 feet of this ice, and there was some kind of a life. They took out Hanumantappa, and to their surprise, he opened eyes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that is what is one example of what I can say
Of supernatural.
supernatural.
So
I mean,
you also came across something supernatural, isn't it?
absolutely, sir. That was something like a encounter with an Adi Manav, sir.
Adi Manav.
Yeah. And my first posting was with the infantry attachment with Fire Rajif. The unit was located in a remote location in Arunachal Pradesh. I was a part of a joint patrol. We were co-located with one more infantry unit, 23GR.
Mm-hmm.
Our task was to uh, go to a height where our bunkers were located and do the maintenance work of those bunkers,
I see.
which is a usual practice in the army in the border areas.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 of us, including Captain Sinha, who was the patrol leader, we started around 5 a.m. And of course, for the patrol, since we are going to the China border, we are carrying arms, ammunition, also communication sets with us.
Communication sets, yeah.
Our camp was where we started was located about 900 meters above the sea level, and we had to cover 3,120 meters height. It's about 120 meters we had to climb.
Yeah, quite a
Yeah.
climb.
Yeah, and by 4 o'clock we were supposed to reach that location because, as you know, sir, you are served in the eastern sector. By 3:34, it becomes as dark as 7:30 in the plains.
That's right. Yeah.
But as we were proceeding at about 2 p.m., I got a call from the commanding officer of 23GR that I have to fall back because one more patrol was supposed to proceed from Chakwanti, and we were to hand over the communication set to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we are barely short of 500 meters from actually reaching our bunkers where we
Right.
are supposed to maintain.
Mhm.
So we had to turn back.
I see.
So at around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I, along with three Jawans, we started descending down.
Descending.
Yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, within 15-20 minutes, it started drizzling. And what happens, sir, like generally in the jungle terrain, we don't have any route markers or anything of that kind.
Correct, correct.
So we devise our
No
own
routes.
methods.
There are no routes as such.
There are no route maps. So we make markings on the trees, and the Jawans who were there with me, just as second lieutenant, so they were experienced soldiers. They had carried some atta with them, and they were marking on some tree
The
tops.
atta
Yeah.
being-
So there are some India markings so that we have to come back by the same route.
Hmm.
So because it was drizzling, and we reached a place where there were two slopes. Technical terms we called two spurs, and we were a bit confused that whether we had to take
When to
the
take. Yeah.
right one or the left one. And because of the drizzle, unfortunately the marking at that place were wiped out. And as luck would have it, unfortunately we took the wrong route.
Oh my God.
And at about 4:30 p.m., we reached a place where there was a sheer fall of 200 meters,
Oh my God.
a deep gorge.
2:30 p.m. is almost getting dark.
Yes, it
Dark,
was
yeah.
dark, it was raining, everything was
Against you.
against us. And rain started pouring, and we had nowhere to go. So we gave a call to the commanding officer of 23GR, and we said, sir, we are in such a tight position. So he said, firstly, don't panic, and you find a place where you can make yourself safe and camp there at that particular place. So fortunately, we had carried our raincoats, and of course, survival ration everybody carries during the patrolling.
Petrols, yeah.
So yeah, so we were geared up with all that. So what we did is we unfolded our rain capes and made makeshift bivouacs. Yeah, right. And in that particular area, there are pine trees, and
Yes,
the advantage of pine trees is that even if it is wet, it burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it emits some kind of oil, so that
Correct.
helps burning. So we made the snake trenches around us as taught in all the army training. And turn by turn, one of the Jawan was giving the guard duty, and we tried to take rest. But of course, we were totally disturbed, and
Naturally, rest is almost not possible. Yeah.
yeah. And we were all thinking that can we find our way back? I mean, all these thoughts were crossing our mind throughout that night.
Correct.
Will a wild animal attack us, or because of the rain, will there be a landslide coming our way?
Yeah.
And, yeah,
All of those possibilities are
all those possibilities.
Yeah.
And one more thing is that since we are heading toward the border, we are not knowing whether we are in India or China. So apart from the strange sounds of animals and insects in the jungle, all these questions were haunting us. The night went without any untoward incident, fortunately. And at the first light, as the Jawans, they popularly said, Prabhu Ramchandra ki jai. And we got up, and we said, now we have to find our way back. So we after the morning things we completed, and barely we must have climbed about 20 meters in the anti-direction.
Mhm.
We were climbing the mountain, and to our surprise, we saw a wild human being there.
Oh,
He was
big. How big?
how big? He was about 6 feet or so, very lean, bony structured, totally naked,
Uh-huh.
holding a strong branch of tree in his hand.
Uh-huh.
And he was having something like a necklace with animal bones around his neck.
Uh-huh.
His whole body was covered with hair, black hair,
Furry kind of.
furry kind of a thing.
Body.
And his eyes were red, and he was looking sharply into our eyes.
I see.
We were first taken aback, first shock, and then we stabilized. And he was looking at us, and we were looking at him. We, of course, took a defensive position. All of us took our weapons in, and we took a defensive position. But good about 2 to 3 minutes, neither he was moving nor we made any aggressive gesture.
Mhm.
So, seeing that he's not attacking us, so I tried to speak in Hindi.
Mm.
Of course, he was not understanding it. He was expressionless.
Mhm.
So we were carrying, as I told, some shakarparas. So as a friendly gestures, I offered him some shakarparas,
Mm.
which he refused.
Mm.
Then I asked him that we would like to go to Chakwanti. Can you help us?
Acha.
And with his hands, he made some gestures and asked us to take the first climb and go on to the next spur and roll down.
Very
Then-
intriguing. Very intriguing.
or not to believe him. One of the Jawans, who is most of the Jawans from village areas, they said, "Saab, ye to Bhagwan ne bheja hua banda hai. He must be telling us the correct path." So we said, "Okay, let's follow
Follow whatever
Master,
he has indicated.
whatever he is guiding." So we turned back and we started climbing up. And after 10, 15 steps, all of us got in doubt. We stopped and turned back, and there was nobody.
Oh, he had vanished.
That increased our doubt many more times.
Whether whatever he has suggested is going to be correct or not.
Correct or not. So I asked the Jawan, "Did you see that man?" And he said, "साहब आपने भी तो देखा, आप ही तो बात कर रहे थे." भाई हाँ यार बात तो कर रहे थे लेकिन
For a moment, you couldn't believe yourself that probably something like this had happened. You have seen someone.
yeah. So we said now we have only one way to follow him, follow what he's saying. So we must have barely walked up for about 45 minutes. And to our surprise, we came across one more Indian Army patrol. And we asked him, we want to go to Chakwanti. He says, "Yeah, you are on the right path. We are also going toward Chakwanti, and we're going further ahead. But this is the way it is.
So that Adi Manav had correctly guided you.
Yes, yes. And yeah, it's also a strange coincidence that in that thick jungle, the another army patrol should come in the same direction, heading towards
And
Chakwati.
that also, yeah, kind of reconfirm
Reconfirm.
you're on the right track.
Yes, sir. And so we started going in that direction. And again, for next about 2 hours, we walked and happily we reached Chakwati where we were heading.
Wow. So finally, the story ended well. Thank you very much, Colonel Umesh. Thank you indeed for coming on our show and narrating this very interesting story. So we look forward to seeing you again on the show. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jai Hind.